Alright, so as you can see, I'm getting ready to build another birchbark canoe. I'm aiming for a 15 and a half, 16 footer. My platform here is 16 feet. So my bark is extending past a little bit on that side and past a little bit on that side. So that gives me a little bit of leeway for the ends of the canoe. One sheet of bark I gathered for the bottom of the canoe, so that's ideal. I just unrolled it, cleaned it, got rid of some of this just like bark that's unrolling, just thin pieces, so it doesn't really affect, if you remove it, it doesn't affect the thickness of your birch bark or the solidity of your canoe. And then so now I'm ready to put my building frame that I pre-built, and this will just give the shape of the bottom of the canoe. For this canoe I built a separate building frame, so it's not the actual final gunwale frame, it's more narrow, so the bottom of the canoe will be more narrow. So I got my bark roll centered on both sides of the platform and in the right position. I know where my platform center is, so I'm going to put my building frame aligned with the center of the platform. Get it on. Gotta take the time to align everything, make sure everything's centered and aligned, because this will be its position. So I got 4.5 inches that side, but only move it a bit. 5.5 inches this side, centered. So I'm centered, that's good. Now I just got to make sure I'm aligned with my ends. So I'm at 23 for the platform, which is right kind of the center. What about the bark? So I got 19 inches of bark this side, got 23 inches of bark this side, so I'm not really aligned in terms of the bark, but I'll go see, because this thing is, the sheet of bark is not perfectly straight, so I am gonna have one side that's gonna have a little bit more for sure. So I'll go look at what the other side looks like. This side is more the top of the tree, so it's more narrow as well. Got 34. What's half of 34? 17, so yeah, I'm at 17, so I'm centered. 17, yeah. 17, confirm, yeah, I got 18, 17, this side I got 18. Could move it just a little bit this way, get it to 17. Once I got it in the right position, I'm going to throw some weight in there, and then it's not going to move anymore. 19. I'm happy with my platform position. Hopefully I have enough bark on each side for the ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some boards and some pieces of wood and some rocks to weigh down my building frame, so it just stays into position for the next few steps. What I'm using is just some old 2x4s, random lengths, spread them all over, so this will give me something to put my rocks on. Okay, out of this book from Edwin Tappanani, I am trying to replicate this canoe right here. This is the model I'm trying to build. So my next step, now that I got my rocks and everything on my platform and my building frame, the building frame sizing that I use is actually written right here. So I went 170 inches long and 26 inches wide. So that's what I just put rocks on in the canoe. That's the building frame. Now I got to bring my bark upwards and I got to do some notches. So you see these lines? There's one line here, one line here, one line here, one line here, and then the 3 lines here. So I measured the distances, but these can be kind of, it depends on the builder. You don't have to actually go these actual distances, but I actually measured them approximately. So from the center, I'm gonna go 7 inches, 14, so this is gonna be from the center. So this will be 7 inches, the first one, and then I'll go 14 inches, notch, 14 inches, notch, 20 inches, 21, 6, and 6. So 6 and 6. So now I gotta do these notches and I gotta multiply these by the 4 different sides because the canoe is symmetrical. So you're basically reproducing this image here on the 4 different sides. So I'm gonna start measuring and do my notches. Alright, so this is my center. I'm gonna go, like I said, 7 inches this way. What this will do is it'll actually give me a 14-inch panel, and then this next one will be a 14-inch one as well. But historically, like, canoes weren't built with measuring tapes and stuff, so they would eyeball quite a bit, or they would build these sticks. So you would basically just have a stick that's 12 inches or 14 inches and then use it to measure, and then like 14 inches or 12 inches they would use like arm lengths or different things like that that would give you an overall measurement. Or the idea is like the canoe has to be symmetrical, so there's ranges of measurements, but it doesn't have to be a certain number of specific inches. So yeah. But anyways, I'm in 2022 and I want this thing to look good and everything, so I'm basing my measurements off of the book and the model. So yeah, this is the 4th canoe that I'm building. If you've been following my channel, Nomadic Woodsman, I built a spruce bark canoe as well, which I filmed the whole process. I think I got 7 or 8 videos on that one, and then I built a smaller birch bark canoe a couple years ago, a 10-footer Atikamekw hunting canoe, hunter's canoe. So this year I'm going a little bit bigger with a 15, 16-foot canoe. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy the video. I'll be filming kind of the process as I go. Okay, stop talking and go. Okay, so never mind what I said for the measurements. So this is a work in progress. So I was gonna go with 7, 14, 14, 20, 21, but I wasn't really happy with that, with how it kind of looked. So I actually changed it. So I'm gonna go 6, 12, 12, and then 18, 18, and 5, 5. And I'm gonna use the red marker that I screwed up with the black. But I'm happy with where those fall on my frame compared to the image. So I'm kind of estimating off of the scale. Like, there is a scale in feet, but I don't know. It's hard to do the math and calculate everything perfect. Plus, doesn't really matter because my canoe will be different And this canoe, either way, because they're all unique crafts. Birchbark canoes, because you're working with natural materials, so they're all unique. So that's cool. So yeah, let's keep going. Alright, so I got my red marks for my notches, but I just wanted to kind of talk about one point. So these notches, sometimes they'll vary in distance as well because of what your bark wants to do. So you can see here, I've got a crack from the bark. So if you don't really know about this, you're like, holy smokes, oh no, I got a big crack. But the thing is, you can just use this as your notch. So technically I was gonna have one here. So either I don't do one, or either I just basically have an extra notch, so it's not a big deal. What I'll probably do is I don't think I'll do don't think I'll cut this one, and I'll just use this crack, and I'll see how this panel should be able to go up. And then as well, sometimes you're lucky and your cracks fall right where you had a measurement for a notch, right? So you can use this, it's already pre-done for you. So you can see, for my canoe to take its shape, there's these, the bark does these waves. So these notches, what it'll do is it'll allow me to eliminate these waves in the bark and bring it up and give it the shape that we're looking for. Okay, my gores or notches are all done along the bark. So now I'm going to use some hot water, pour it on, and then that'll make my bark more supple. And I'm going to use these to bring my bark upwards. Hot water. Just got this end close off. Just putting some hot water on the inside and the outside, because this is, you want to bend this for the end, give it its shape. Alright, so it's been a couple days since I filmed, but I brought all the sides up, so I did my notches, my gores in the bark, and then I brought the sides up with these. Now the next step, and I'm almost done, is you gotta put root lashings, so just single point root lashings to hold those two gores together. And what that does is it just holds the whole bark sheet in its upright shape. And later on, when I'm going to put in the ribs and the sheathing, what'll happen is the ribs push outwards, just like a balloon wanting to open. Well, these roots, as well as with all the other lashings, will hold everything together. So that's what I'm doing. I'm almost done. So simply, it's just a smaller root, and I'm just making two holes, putting it in, and then doing two simple knots just to hold it, kind of like a zip tie basically, but with a spruce root. So once I'm done that, I can cut my winter bark sheet and then put my winter bark panel, which will bring my bark up higher to my gunwale or my gunwale height. And then after, I'll be able to put the gunwales in. So I'm just going to show you one of these root lashings here. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's two there. So there's your gore, and then your lashing, and so on and so forth. So put two, and then I just got one here. So I'm getting ready to put my second one. So just simply trim this root a bit. These are a little bit big, so I'm just trimming them down a bit. Goes a bit quicker because I had a bunch of spruce roots that I dried up from my last canoe ready to go, so I didn't have to go out and gather some and boil them and strip them and split them. So I got some roots to start the canoe with. I am going to need to gather some more later on when I'm going to do the, yes, I just went in from the inside of the canoe, went out, and then go back in the hole. This one here. Okay, so I'm going to remove this big rock just for you guys to see. Ah. Alright. where am I here? I am there, okay. So here, just point out, I just do a very simple overhand knot. Tighten it. It's important that it's tight so there's no give between the two pieces of bark. Go as tight as you can, and then I'll just lock it up with a second overhand knot on top. So on the outside of the canoe, it's a nice smooth stitch, but on the inside it leaves a little bit of a bump with that knot. So that's fine because that'll be covered by the ribs and by the sheathing later. Then I cut the excess off. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like right here. Just kind of like on this side here. That's what it looked like. 1, 2. Where there's not as much bark going high, like in the center, I just did the one root knot. I could do 2, but that's sufficient just to hold it. Alright, so now that my bark is upwards, I got all my little zip tie points done all around. Next step, I gotta get my winter bark cut. So I'm gonna unroll my whole roll. I got a big roll, unroll it, and then I'll cut about a 1 foot wide panel, 12-inch wide panel, as long as I can. I think I got 15 or 16 feet for my roll. That's where it is, see? So this is my winter bark roll. So I'm gonna have to bring it outside and cut a piece off of it. Alright guys, so that'll be it for this video, the first video on the 16 foot Birchbark Canoe Build. Yeah, next one, we're gonna unroll the bark. We're gonna start sewing the winter bark on this piece of bark with the double harness stitch. And yeah, so I hope you guys liked the video. I'm gonna try to upload at least 1 video a week on this build throughout this summer. So we're beginning of July 2022, and I'm hoping to have the canoe not finished but mostly done for September. So we'll see how that goes. I'm just building it on my own and I'm not working on it full time. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a comment and subscribe. And I would like to invite you guys to go check out my other videos. Like I said, I did a video on a smaller 10-foot birchbark canoe, a video series, and then I did some on spruce bark canoes. I also have videos on some birch bark baskets and spruce bark basket that I did. So yeah, you can just check out my channel. Thanks so much guys. Hope you guys will enjoy this little series. Rock and roll.